Once upon a time, in the majestic kingdom of Eldoria, there lived a young princess named Seraphina. She was renowned not only for her ethereal beauty, but also for her sharp intellect and unwavering kindness. Her long golden hair cascaded like rivers of sunlight down her back, and her emerald green eyes held the wisdom of generations. She carried herself with grace, her presence bringing warmth to those around her. The people of Eldoria adored her, and her father, King Aldrich, cherished her as the most precious jewel in his kingdom. He vowed to protect her from all harm, for he knew that a heart as pure as hers was bound to attract both admirers and adversaries. However, beyond the towering walls of Eldoria, dark schemes brewed in the kingdom of Noctavia. Its ruler, the ruthless King Darius, had long harbored an obsession with Seraphina. Years ago, he had sought her hand in marriage, believing that a union between their kingdoms would solidify his power. But Seraphina, valuing her freedom and the right to choose her own fate, had refused him. The rejection, public and absolute, wounded his pride, turning his admiration into resentment. He swore that one day he would claim her, not as his queen, but as his captive, bound by chains rather than vows. The fateful night arrived during Eldoria's grand harvest festival. The kingdom was alive with music, laughter, and the glow of lanterns that painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson. As the people reveled in merriment, Noctavian spies lurked in the shadows, awaiting the signal. Under the cover of darkness, they struck. Silent as wraiths, they infiltrated the palace, slipping past unsuspecting guards. With ruthless efficiency, they stormed Seraphina's chambers, overpowered her protectors, and smothered her cries before spiriting her away into the night. When King Aldrich awoke to find his daughter missing, his fury shook the very foundations of the palace. He vowed to bring her back, but Noctavia's mountain fortress was an unassailable stronghold, and war would cost countless innocent lives. Meanwhile, Seraphina awoke in a cold, dimly lit chamber atop the tallest tower of Noctavia's fortress. The stone walls were damp, bearing the marks of past captives who had likely despaired in the very place she now sat. Iron chains bound her wrists, heavy and unyielding. Her heart pounded as she took in her grim surroundings, yet fear did not break her spirit. When King Darius visited her, his dark eyes glinting with triumph, he offered her a choice: marry him and rule at his side, or remain imprisoned until she surrendered. But Seraphina, steadfast in her defiance, met his gaze with unwavering resolve and refused to yield. Days turned into weeks, yet Seraphina refused to be broken. She studied her surroundings, watching the movements of the guards and noting their routines. She counted the hours of their shifts, the moments when they were most distracted, and the way the moonlight illuminated a small, narrow window high above her. She found hope in the smallest details, refusing to accept that she was powerless. One fateful evening, she seized her chance. Using a small, concealed hairpin, she picked the lock on her chains with painstaking precision. As soon as the metal restraints fell away, she tore strips from the hem of her gown, fashioning them into a makeshift rope. The descent from the tower was treacherous. The cold night air bit at her skin as she clung to the fragile lifeline she had created. Her heart thundered with every inch she lowered herself until, at last, she reached the ground. Yet her escape was far from over. The fortress gates were heavily guarded, and she knew she could not leave alone. Determined, she made her way through the dungeons, where she discovered a group of Eldorian prisoners, brave soldiers who had been captured in past battles. Whispering through the bars, she convinced them to fight alongside her. With silent determination, they worked together, using stolen weapons to take down the guards one by one. The battle was swift, yet brutal, and by the time they reached the outer walls, they were bruised but victorious. Their journey home was perilous. Noctavian soldiers pursued them relentlessly, their torches flickering like spectral fire in the night. They traversed treacherous landscapes, raging rivers, rocky cliffs, and dense forests teeming with unseen dangers. Yet Seraphina's leadership, an unshakable spirit, inspired her companions. She moved with unwavering determination, her mind sharp and focused, guiding them through the darkness until, at last, the grand gates of Eldoria rose before them like a beacon of hope. As Seraphina stepped through those gates, weary yet triumphant, King Aldrich fell to his knees and wept with joy. The people of Eldoria rejoiced, their cheers echoing through the streets, for their beloved princess had returned, stronger and braver than ever before. But Seraphina's story did not end with her homecoming. Rather than seeking vengeance, she brokered peace between Eldoria and Noctavia, proving that true strength lay not in conquest, but in wisdom and compassion. Her tale of courage and resilience spread far and wide, and from that day forth, she was no longer just Princess Seraphina. She was the unbreakable queen, the ruler who defied tyranny and emerged victorious, not by force, but by the sheer power of her indomitable spirit.